President Obama at the Pentagon today saying his ISIS strategy is moving forward. Is it? And is it fast enough? Arizona representative and the first female combat pilot, Congresswoman Martha McSally, goes on the record. Good evening, Congresswoman.
Hey, Greta, how are you?
Good. I don't know if you just heard the discussion that I had with Jennifer about the fact that the president says his strategy is moving forward against ISIS, but the fact is that ISIS, you've got these other ISIS groups like Boko Haram in Nigeria, Al-Shabaab in Somalia, and you've got the ISIS strongholds in Libya, yet he says it's moving forward. Maybe it is. What is your thought?
Well, Greta, we've missed so many opportunities since they set up their caliphate 18 months ago, and we've been in a supposed air campaign for about 16 months. But it's been very much plinking in a very tactical, reactive, almost supportive role, minimal strikes, and it's not an actual air campaign in the sense where we study ISIS and their centers of gravity, we identify their critical capabilities, we go after their command and control, their resources in a way that puts them on the run, chokes off their ability to organize and strategize and fund their terrorist operations. And now here we are 18 months later. They've had $1 million a day going from black market oil. They've expanded to 19 countries. And basically, he's just doing a little bit more of the same. He's still tone deaf and detached and doesn't understand that we need to change the strategy. I was really hoping today he would realize something needs to change, but it's just a little bit more of the same, and it's not been working.
Well, you look at countries like Saudi Arabia, who are part of the, supposedly are trying to help, are helping us. But what are they doing? Where's the money from them? They say they're fighting in Yemen, they're busy, but you know, where is the help here? And why isn't the president going to NATO and even invoking Article 5, and so that all these nations do have to step up to the plate? And the sense of urgency is that it is spreading; it's not contained.
Right, and we need global leadership more than ever, and that can only come from the United States, but this administration has just failed to provide that. When it comes to some of the other Arab allies in the regions, part of the dynamics that is really important to take into context is that Obama has had an incoherent and an inconsistent strategy in the Middle East writ large. He has been very focused on getting a deal with Iran, and he's expecting these other Sunni countries to now get involved in the fight against ISIS. They're more concerned about Iran as the state sponsor of terror that's already in existence, as opposed to killing their own Sunni brethren. So there is a deeper issue here of an incoherent and incomprehensible strategy in the Middle East that's impacting how our allies are behaving.
Well, it would be less a sense of urgency if we weren't seeing that ISIS is attacking in Paris. We've got what happened, our terrorism in California. ISIS does its recruiting across social media, the internet, which you don't need a visa to. There are no known boundaries with the internet, and we won't even do social media vetting of people who want to come into this country.
Greta, we had a 2-hour closed-door classified briefing with Director Comey of the FBI, Homeland Security, State Department, USCIS. This was my question at the microphone as to whether it's a policy of theirs to check the social media accounts of an individual who is applying for a fiancé visa. And I was just shocked to hear the answer. That's not something that they regularly do. The bad guys are operating at the speed of broadband, and the federal government is acting at the speed of bureaucracy. They're using very old-school techniques when you're just querying databases based on old information that's not keeping up with social media that the Obama administration knows they're using in a sophisticated way. Then we're not catching all this.
I got a whole list of all the times in the last 6 months, Secretary Kerry, President Obama, Secretary Carter, everybody's saying that ISIS is using social media for recruiting, and yet we don't even look at social media. If someone who's applying to get into our country from a troubled nation like Pakistan, a nation that, you know, I just don't understand it.
It's absolutely insane, and it needs to change right now. We're voting on a bill tomorrow that directs the president to keep his promise. By the way, in 2011, he said this was a problem, much earlier than the last few months. And we're voting on a bill tomorrow to at least start that and make him produce a strategy in the next 90 days to combat how ISIS and others are using social media. This is a no-brainer. I served on a task force for Homeland Security. We sent this to him in September, telling him this and many other recommendations need to be taken soon, and he just hasn't had that sense of urgency. It's just more of the same.
Congresswoman, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
And
thanks,
bombshell.